Hello CAY family. Today's video is about writing and where it's mainly for parents to watch to help their children at home. Children can watch it too just to remind them of what's expected to them when they write. So here we go. This is a Anchor chart that I have in my classroom, and it kind of outlines for the students the basic things that they need to do whenever they turn in a writing assignment into my class. So this might look a little bit different for kindergarten or first grade, and also a little bit different for third, fourth, and fifth grade. So this is a second grade checklist, but if you are looking for these things in your students' writing, you're off to a good start. So when your children write, after they write, they should go back over their writing, and they should look to make sure that there are every sentence starts with a capital letter, all the proper nouns have a capital letter. They should look at punctuation. Do they have question marks, exclamation points, and periods, maybe even quotes if somebody is saying something. In my second grade class, there are children who know when to use quotation marks. Commas are a little bit tricky in second grade, but I know in older grades, kids are starting to learn about those and applying them. In the younger grades, I know punctuation is extremely hard because they might still be just trying to understand what is a sentence, which is a subject and a predicate. Someone did something, period. So that's kind of just like a basic sentence that they might just put periods after. I then look for, or your child should look for, is there spacing in between words? In the lower elementary grades, I do expect to have either no spacing or ginormous spacing, so we want to kind of even that out, but I would prefer in kindergarten, first grade to have a huge space than no space at all. So as they get older, that kind of gets cleaned up a little. Is their writing neat? Do they care about their work, or are they turning in something with neat handwriting? Oh, and the other thing about capital letters, make sure it's only the first letter of each sentence. Like a lot of times if kids are spelling they'll put T with a capital H and an E. So you might want to just look and make sure that it's truly the letters that need to be capitalized that are. And then I'm going to talk about spelling words correctly. In second grade, not every single word is usually spelled correctly, but we're getting towards spelling more and more words correctly. In our classroom, we of course would have used word walls, and then I've been teaching them something about what to do if they don't know how to spell a word, which we will get to in about 2 more slides. So then in my class, we've also been working on adjectives and adverbs and adding those kind of details in their sentences just to make it more interesting. So adjectives describe nouns and adverbs describe verbs. So, but they can also add details to make their paragraphs longer. So they can add detailed sentences, but also details inside the sentence. So then I put a little example of that on the bottom of my organizer. One side says, I like dogs, which is a very basic sentence. If you're in preschool or kindergarten, that would be phenomenal. But then in second grade and third grade, I would expect something like German Shepherds are extremely loyal and fierce protectors, which makes them great family pets. So that is a more interesting sentence. Yes, it's very, very good one, but I believe that your kids can do it, or they can do something similar to that. So look for those things when you are assigning writing at home. Get their work, take this rubric out, look for capital letters, punctuation, spacing, how neat is it. Look to see if they can extend their sentences at all or add more details and make it a longer paragraph. I would also have my kids do this themselves. You can make it in a checklist form in your house, like on another piece of paper, and they can just check off all the things that they did before they show it to you. So this is some graphic organizers that teachers use often that talk about paragraph structure. So what is included in a paragraph? So the first one over here is the very basic layout. So you see there's a hamburger, and the buns are very similar. So you start off a paragraph with a topic sentence or a main idea. And then the interesting details would be the lettuce and the cheese and the pickles and the onions and the hamburger. And those are all supporting details. Then on the bottom, there's a conclusion sentence. So the conclusion is very, very similar to the introduction. So in the second example, here's an example of a paragraph written that way. So this person wrote about, I had a horrible sick day. And so some details that support that it was a terrible day is that I couldn't eat my favorite foods. My mom told me to stay in bed all day. And at school, I was missing the party. So then to conclude it, it says I never want to be sick again. So the main idea, the focus statement, the topic sentence, and the conclusion are very, very, very similar. So they're all about being sick. It kind of summarizes what you wrote about. And then in the middle are all those juicy details. So then this third graphic organizer kind of shows the same thing but in different styles of writing. So on the left side, if you can see in the juicy details, if you were writing a narrative or a how-to, a narrative would be just like a regular story or some fiction. You would put what happened first, what happened next, what happened then, and then finally would be the conclusion. So on the other side, it would be if you were writing informational text or opinion writing, you would put the reasons for your opinion, reason 1 or fact 1, reason 2 or fact 2, or reason 3 or fact 3 that supported your topic sentence. So you would still have a topic sentence and a conclusion that sounded the same, but you would put all of your reasons or facts in the middle. So those would be your juicy details. So a lot of times when teachers are teaching how to structure a paragraph, this is a graphic organizer they may use. The previous slide was more about editing their work and fixing up all those mistakes. So then a lot of parents sometimes don't know what to do if your child just doesn't know how to spell a word. So in my class, this is what we do. We have a set of rules that children have to do. I don't spell for kids, I make them do these rules. So first they have to clap out the word, so clap out the syllables. Then they stretch each syllable out, they say it very slowly. Then they write the sounds that they hear, and they think about what they know about vowels and about spelling patterns. For example, in the word day, the long A is at the end of the word, so we know if the long A comes at the end of the word, it's spelled with the AY. The word boat, the long O is in the middle of the word, so when we hear that, we know that it's most likely an OA. There's some other spellings that it could be for that, but in this case it's OA. For the word cat, that's a short A sound, and short A's are usually vowels by themselves or not in a vowel team, or there's not a magic E at the end. So we call those vowel sandwiches in my class. Sometimes they're called CVC words, sometimes they're called closed syllables, and we know that that vowel is just by itself. But sometimes words just don't play fair. The word because might be a good example of that, or there. And if an adult helps a child with those words, that is normal and acceptable, or if they get a dictionary out or if they look it up, those things are all fine. Don't feel frustrated by that. And then children in the younger grades, especially kindergarten, first grade, still do what's called inventive spelling. So if you see, if they're writing the word canary, they might not write all of those letters in, but they might hear the can and then the R and the Y, or maybe they would put an E instead of a Y or something like that. Inventive spelling is acceptable and fine in kindergarten, first grade. As they get older, we expect less and less of that. And even in third grade, you still see some inventive spellings, and probably even up through fifth grade, but we don't want to see a lot of it. And we don't want children, especially in the older grades, just to go to inventive spellings. We want them first to try out the procedure. So I'm going to show you with the word pathway. if I don't know how to spell pathway, this is what I do. First, I clap out the syllables. Pathway. Then I take out each syllable and I stretch it and I say it slowly. Path. And it's very important for me to say it slowly because that TH sound is really difficult to hear. So if I say it slowly, I have a better chance at hearing it. Path. And then I write down those sounds that I hear. Path. And I think about the vowels and I think about what I know about spelling patterns. I hear a short A sound, so I know that it's by itself and I know it's in between consonants, or we call that a consonant, a vowel sandwich, or a CVCC word. A lot of kids in my second grade class should know that. They might not know that in kindergarten and first grade, but in second grade they probably do. That's a vowel sandwich. So it's a short A, it's by itself. And then, so the word was pathway, so, and I'm fighting my cat here for a second, pathway. So the second syllable was way, way. So I hear two sounds, a. And I hear the long A sound at the end of the word. And just like day, if a long A comes at the end, I know it ends with a AY. A lot of second graders know a lot of things about a lot of different types of syllables. They know a lot about vowel teams and about magic E, and they know about opened and closed syllables. So some of those things might come out in conversation, and that's a good sign. So that's what I do if a child doesn't know how to spell a word. But of course, if it's a word that doesn't play fair, you might just have to tell it to them. So that's okay too. So then, ideas for writing. If you're working on writing in your homeschool lessons, you can journal about everyday life. You can write about special events. You can write a completely made up story, a fantasy, a piece of fiction. You can write about your opinions. You can write letters, poems, songs. You can write about your feelings, about things you're interested in, about TV shows, books. A lot of times in school, we write about books. We read something and then we reflect on it. You can write a magazine or a newspaper article. You can conduct an interview and write about it. And if you really are still stuck, you can go to Google or another search engine and type in elementary writing prompts, and you will have tons of ideas about what you could write about. So at home, writing is an easy thing to do every single day, and it keeps their skills up. So please do it. Don't get frustrated about it. Send me pictures, videos, emails, messages about what you're writing on Class Dojo or in my school email, and I would love to see it or hear about it. And of course, be safe. The number one thing we should be doing right now is just being kind to each other and taking care of each other. And if there's some days that you just don't write or you don't get in schoolwork, I understand it's hard on everybody and everybody's doing their best. A lot of parents are still working, and I appreciate that. So if you are just hanging in there, keep hanging in there. It will get easier, and hopefully we'll be back in school soon, and then I can take over all this stuff so that you don't have to. Please message me with any of your questions or concerns. And I love you, and have a good day today.